I never thought love could make me this stupid, but she had me wrapped around her finger from day one. These were the words found in a voice memo on the phone of Kendrick Washington, a man who built an empire but couldn't see the trap being set right in his own bedroom. Today we're diving into a case that started with Instagram glamour and ended in a Miami courtroom. A serial entrepreneur with a strict no prenup policy for the first time in his life, a seemingly perfect influencer hiding her true identity, and a love triangle that turned deadly when money and deception collided. Before we uncover this twisted tale of betrayal and murder, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell here on True Crime Journal. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next in this story that shocked Miami's elite social circles. On March 15, 2024, in Coral Gables, Florida, Kendrick Washington, age 52, married for the fifth time. The ceremony took place at the exclusive Biltmore Hotel, attended by approximately 200 guests from Miami's business and entertainment elite. The bride, Zara Mitchell, was 28 years old, a lifestyle and fitness influencer from Atlanta, Georgia, who had amassed over 850,000 followers on Instagram through her luxury travel content and wellness brand collaborations. The couple had met 8 months earlier at Art Basel Miami Beach, where Kendrick was showcasing pieces from his private collection. Zara had been attending as a guest of a luxury watch brand she represented. Kendrick Washington was well established in Miami's business community as the founder and CEO of Washington Ventures, a private equity firm specializing in tech startups and real estate development. Over 2 decades, he had built a portfolio worth an estimated $180 million. What made this marriage unprecedented in Kendrick's history was the absence of a prenuptial agreement. Throughout his previous 4 marriages, Kendrick had been notorious for his ironclad prenups, earning him a reputation as a calculated businessman who never mixed emotions with financial planning. His first marriage in 1995 to college sweetheart Denise had ended in divorce after 3 years. His second marriage to model Chanel Brooks lasted 5 years and produced no children. His third wife, restaurant entrepreneur Simone Davis, divorced him in 2015 after discovering his affair with his personal trainer. His fourth marriage to art dealer Maya Thompson ended in 2021 following what court documents described as irreconcilable differences related to lifestyle incompatibility. Friends and business associates expressed surprise at Kendrick's decision to marry without legal protection. Jerome Fleming, his longtime business partner and best man at the wedding, later told investigators that Kendrick seemed different with Zara. He was completely smitten, Fleming recalled. He said she was the one who finally made him believe in real love. He wanted to show her he trusted her completely. Zara Mitchell had cultivated an image of luxury and independence on social media. Her Instagram account featured high-end fashion, exotic travel destinations, and lifestyle content that suggested significant personal wealth. She claimed to run a successful online wellness coaching business and frequently posted about female empowerment and financial independence. Her follower base was primarily young women who aspired to her lifestyle. What wasn't immediately apparent to Kendrick or his circle was that Zara's lifestyle was largely fabricated. A later investigation revealed that most of her luxury content was created through brand partnerships, borrowed items, or elaborate staging. Her actual income from her coaching business was minimal, and she had been living primarily off credit and temporary sponsorships that barely covered her rent in a modest Atlanta apartment. Within weeks of the marriage, Zara had moved into Kendrick's 12,000 square foot waterfront mansion in Coconut Grove. The property, valued at $8.5 million, featured a private dock, infinity pool, and guest house. Zara's social media presence exploded with content showcasing her new lifestyle. Her follower count jumped to over 1.2 million as she documented everything from private jet trips to exclusive dining experiences. More significantly, Zara introduced Kendrick to someone she claimed was her cousin, Diamond Jackson, a 26-year-old aspiring actress from Los Angeles. Diamond began making frequent visits to Miami, often staying in the mansion's guest house for weeks at a time. Kendrick, who was often traveling for business, welcomed Diamond's presence, believing it made Zara happy to have family nearby. What Kendrick didn't know was that Diamond Jackson was not Zara's cousin. She was Zara's romantic partner of 3 years, a relationship they had carefully hidden from the public eye to protect both of their images and business opportunities. Diamond, whose real name was Diane Jackson, had been working as a personal trainer in West Hollywood while pursuing acting opportunities that never materialized. The deception ran deeper than family relationships. Private investigators later uncovered that Zara and Diamond had been planning to exploit Zara's marriage from the beginning. Text messages recovered from both women's phones showed extensive planning discussions dating back to before Zara had even met Kendrick. The conversations revealed their intention to position Diamond as a trusted family member who could eventually gain access to Kendrick's business operations and personal finances. By June 2024, Diamond had successfully ingratiated herself with Kendrick's business circle. She attended company events as Zara's cousin and began offering social media marketing advice to Washington Ventures. Kendrick, impressed by what he believed was Diamond's business acumen, hired her as a consultant for the company's digital presence. This position gave Diamond access to internal financial information and business strategies. During this period, Zara began subtly influencing Kendrick's business decisions. She suggested investments in wellness and lifestyle brands that aligned with her social media presence. While these suggestions appeared innocent, they were actually companies where Diamond had been promised equity stakes in exchange for steering Washington Ventures investment capital their direction. The plan began to unravel in late July when Kendrick's longtime accountant, Beverly Williams, noticed irregularities in the company's expense reports. Diamond had been submitting consultant fees that seemed excessive for the work being performed. Additionally, Beverly discovered that several of the wellness companies Zara had recommended for investment had concerning financial backgrounds and questionable business models. Beverly scheduled a meeting with Kendrick for August 5 to discuss her concerns. However, before that meeting could take place, Beverly received a call from Diamond claiming that Kendrick had asked her to handle all communication with the accounting firm moving forward. Beverly found this unusual, as Kendrick had never delegated such authority to anyone outside his core team of longtime business partners. Suspicious of the sudden change, Beverly attempted to contact Kendrick directly multiple times throughout early August. His responses were unusually brief and came through text messages rather than his typical phone calls. When Beverly insisted on an in-person meeting, Kendrick agreed to meet at his office on August 15. That meeting never took place. On the morning of August 14, 2024, at approximately 6:30 a.m., Kendrick Washington was found floating face down in his infinity pool by his housekeeper, Rosa Martinez. Emergency medical services were called by Zara, who claimed she had been sleeping and was awakened by Rosa's screams from the backyard. Paramedics arrived within 7 minutes and attempted resuscitation, but Kendrick was pronounced dead at the scene at 7:12 a.m. The preliminary report suggested accidental drowning, noting that Kendrick had a blood alcohol content of 0.12, well above the legal driving limit. Zara told responding officers that Kendrick had been drinking heavily the previous evening due to stress related to business matters. The initial investigation was routine. Kendrick was known to be a strong swimmer, but the combination of alcohol and the early morning hours suggested he had simply lost his footing or experienced some sort of medical episode while in the pool. There were no obvious signs of trauma, and both Zara and Diamond provided statements corroborating that Kendrick had been drinking and appeared distressed about unspecified business issues. However, Kendrick's business partner Jerome Fleming found the circumstances suspicious. He knew Kendrick rarely drank to excess and was an experienced swimmer who had grown up around water. More importantly, Jerome was aware of Beverly Williams' concerns about the financial irregularities and knew that Kendrick had been planning to address them. 3 days after the funeral, Jerome contacted the Miami-Dade Police Department to request a more thorough investigation. He provided investigators with Beverly's documentation of the suspicious transactions and timeline of events leading up to Kendrick's death. A detective from the Miami-Dade Homicide Unit was assigned to review the case. The homicide detective's investigation immediately uncovered several red flags. The home's security system, which typically recorded continuously, had been disabled between 11 p.m. on August 13 and 5 a.m. on August 14. Zara claimed the system had malfunctioned, but technical analysis revealed it had been manually shut down using Kendrick's administrative access code. More concerning was the discovery that Kendrick's phone had been wiped clean of all data sometime between his death and the arrival of emergency services. Zara stated that Kendrick had been having technical problems with the device and had reset it the previous day. However, phone records showed extensive activity on the device until 2:30 a.m. on August 14, just hours before his body was discovered. The toxicology report, completed 2 weeks after Kendrick's death, revealed the presence of rohypnol in his system alongside the alcohol. Rohypnol, commonly known as a date rape drug, can cause confusion, loss of motor control, and memory impairment. The combination with alcohol significantly increases the risk of respiratory depression and drowning. When confronted with the toxicology results, Zara expressed shock and suggested that Kendrick might have been drugged during a business dinner he had attended earlier that evening. However, restaurant staff and other dinner attendees confirmed that Kendrick had appeared completely normal when he left the establishment at 9 p.m. The detective obtained warrants to search the mansion and examine digital evidence from both Zara and Diamond's devices. The search revealed several incriminating items hidden in Diamond's room in the guest house, including an empty vial that tested positive for rohypnol residue and a detailed timeline of Kendrick's daily routines and habits. The digital forensics examination proved even more damaging. Despite attempts to delete their communications, investigators recovered text messages between Zara and Diamond discussing the timing of Kendrick's death and their plans to access his accounts immediately afterward. One message from Diamond to Zara, sent at 1:45 a.m. on August 14, read, "It's done. Pool area is clear. Stick to the story." Further investigation revealed that Zara and Diamond had been withdrawing large sums of cash from Kendrick's accounts in the weeks leading up to his death. They had also opened several joint investment accounts and transferred significant amounts of money into cryptocurrency wallets that would be difficult to trace. The most shocking discovery came from Zara's laptop, where investigators found a detailed plan titled The Washington Project. The document outlined their entire scheme, from the initial meeting at Art Basel through Kendrick's death and their planned escape to a non-extradition country. The plan revealed that they had specifically targeted Kendrick because of his wealth and his reputation for falling hard for beautiful women. On September 3, 2024, both Zara Mitchell and Diamond Jackson were arrested at Miami International Airport as they attempted to board a flight to Costa Rica. They were carrying fake passports and over $200,000 in cash. Additional searches revealed they had already transferred more than $3 million from Kendrick's accounts to various offshore locations. During interrogation, Diamond initially maintained their innocence, but when presented with the recovered text messages and digital evidence, she agreed to cooperate with prosecutors in exchange for a reduced sentence. Her testimony revealed the full extent of their deception and planning. Diamond testified that she and Zara had been romantically involved for 3 years and had been struggling financially despite their social media personas. They had developed the plan to target wealthy men through Zara's influencer connections, with Diamond posing as a family member to gain inside access to their targets' lives and finances. According to Diamond's testimony, Kendrick was their second target. They had previously attempted a similar scheme with a real estate developer in Los Angeles, but that relationship had ended before they could execute their plan. Kendrick's well-known romantic history and lack of close family members made him an ideal target. Diamond revealed that on the night of August 13, Zara had slipped rohypnol into Kendrick's evening wine while they were sitting by the pool. As the drug took effect, they had encouraged him to take a late-night swim, knowing that his impaired state would make drowning likely. They had then disabled the security system and waited for him to lose consciousness in the water. The prosecution painted a picture of calculated murder motivated by greed and executed with careful planning. They argued that Zara and Diamond had manipulated Kendrick's emotions to gain his trust, then systematically positioned themselves to access his wealth before ultimately killing him when they felt they had extracted as much as possible through other means. The defense attempted to argue that Kendrick's death was accidental, claiming that he had voluntarily taken rohypnol for recreational purposes and that the women had simply panicked when they found him in the pool. However, the extensive digital evidence and Diamond's testimony made this argument difficult to sustain. The trial began on January 8, 2025, in Miami-Dade County Circuit Court. Judge Patricia Rodriguez presided over the proceedings, which drew significant media attention due to the combination of social media deception, wealth, and the unusual nature of the relationship between the defendants. The prosecution's case was methodical and comprehensive. They presented the jury with a timeline showing the evolution of the scheme from initial planning through execution. Financial experts testified about the complex web of transfers and accounts the women had created to hide their theft of Kendrick's assets. Digital forensics specialists explained how they had recovered the deleted communications and demonstrated the extent of the planning involved in the crime. The Washington Project document was particularly damaging, as it showed premeditation and a complete lack of genuine affection for Kendrick. Jerome Fleming testified about his longtime friendship with Kendrick and his concerns about the relationship with Zara. He described how Kendrick had seemed completely infatuated with Zara and had been planning to propose new business ventures that would have given her even greater access to his wealth. Beverly Williams, Kendrick's accountant, testified about the financial irregularities she had discovered and her attempts to warn Kendrick about Diamond's suspicious consultant fees. Her testimony established that Kendrick had been unaware of the extent of the financial manipulation occurring in his business. The most dramatic moment of the trial came when Diamond Jackson took the stand as a prosecution witness. Over 3 days of testimony, she provided detailed accounts of how they had planned and executed both the financial fraud and Kendrick's murder. Diamond testified that Zara had been the mastermind of the operation, using her social media skills and appearance to attract wealthy targets while Diamond provided logistical support and inside access. She described how they had researched Kendrick extensively before their first meeting, learning about his business interests, romantic history, and personal vulnerabilities. Zara knew exactly what type of woman Kendrick was attracted to, Diamond testified. She studied his ex-wives and ex-girlfriends, learned their common characteristics, and basically created a perfect version of his ideal woman. She became everything he had been looking for his entire life. Diamond's testimony revealed that they had planned to continue the relationship for at least 2 years, gradually gaining access to more of Kendrick's wealth through business investments and joint ventures. However, Beverly Williams' investigation had forced them to accelerate their timeline and resort to murder to avoid being exposed. The defense attempted to discredit Diamond's testimony by highlighting her plea agreement and arguing that she was simply telling prosecutors what they wanted to hear to reduce her own sentence. However, the extensive digital evidence corroborated most of her claims about the planning and execution of the crime. Zara Mitchell chose not to testify in her own defense. Her attorneys argued that she had been manipulated by Diamond and had genuinely cared for Kendrick. They claimed that any financial irregularities were the result of Diamond's influence and that Zara had no knowledge of the plan to murder Kendrick. However, the prosecution's rebuttal was devastating. They presented additional evidence showing that Zara had been the one to research and purchase the Rohypnol used in the murder. Financial records showed that she had also been the primary architect of the money laundering scheme used to hide their theft. The prosecution's closing argument emphasized the calculated nature of the crime and the complete betrayal of Kendrick's trust. They argued that Zara and Diamond had seen Kendrick not as a human being but as a target to be exploited and ultimately eliminated when he was no longer useful to them. On February 14, 2025, after 4 days of deliberation, the jury returned guilty verdicts against both defendants. Zara Mitchell was convicted of first-degree murder, conspiracy, fraud, and money laundering. Diamond Jackson, despite her cooperation, was convicted of second-degree murder and conspiracy. Judge Rodriguez sentenced Zara Mitchell to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In delivering the sentence, the judge noted the exceptional level of premeditation and the callous disregard for human life demonstrated by the defendants. Diamond Jackson received a sentence of 25 years to life, with the possibility of parole after serving 25 years. The judge acknowledged her cooperation with the prosecution but emphasized that her role in planning and executing the murder warranted significant punishment. Following the convictions, authorities were able to recover approximately $1.8 million of the stolen funds through asset forfeiture in cooperation with international banking authorities. However, nearly $500,000 remained unaccounted for, likely lost in cryptocurrency transfers or hidden in accounts that investigators could not locate. Kendrick's estate, managed by his business partner Jerome Fleming as executor, established the Washington Foundation for Entrepreneurship, providing grants and mentorship to young business owners in underserved communities. The foundation was funded by the recovered assets and continues to operate from Kendrick's former office building in downtown Miami. The case had a significant impact on Miami's social media influencer community, leading to increased scrutiny of lifestyle content and the authenticity of online personas. Several local law enforcement agencies began training officers to recognize social media-based fraud schemes and the warning signs of financial manipulation in romantic relationships. Zara Mitchell was transferred to the Lowell Correctional Institution in Ocala, Florida, where she remains incarcerated. She has not given any interviews since her conviction and has reportedly cut off all contact with Diamond Jackson. Her social media accounts, which once showcased her luxurious lifestyle, have been permanently deleted. Diamond Jackson is serving her sentence at the Florida Women's Reception Center in Ocala. She has participated in several rehabilitation programs and has reportedly expressed remorse for her actions. Under Florida law, she will be eligible for a parole hearing in 2015. The mansion in Coconut Grove where Kendrick was murdered was sold by his estate. The new owners, a technology executive and his family, have reportedly renovated the property extensively, including filling in the infinity pool where Kendrick died and replacing it with a garden. Jerome Fleming continues to operate Washington Ventures, though he has implemented new security measures and background check procedures for all employees and consultants. He has spoken publicly about the importance of separating emotions from business decisions and the need for successful individuals to be aware of those who might target them for their wealth. The case of Kendrick Washington serves as a stark reminder that in the age of social media, appearances can be completely fabricated, and the most dangerous predators often come disguised as the perfect partner. It highlights the vulnerability that wealth can create and the lengths some people will go to exploit the basic human need for love and connection. As we wrap up this shocking case, remember that the truth is often hidden behind the most perfect Instagram posts and the most convincing lies. If this story has taught us anything, it's that when something seems too good to be true, it usually is. Don't forget to subscribe to True Crime Journal for more cases that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest investigations into the dark side of human nature. Until next time, stay safe and remember that sometimes the person closest to you might be the one with the most to hide. What did you think about Zara and Diamond's elaborate deception? Let us know in the comments below, and share this video with anyone who needs to hear this cautionary tale about love, money, and the deadly consequences of blind trust.